That's what that. Well, so we're going to talk about last time, but you made them last year. And you graduated college, like I said.
No, I actually graduated with so I was in law school for 6 years.
Oh.
Some consulting work, some relation. Water resources.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, what we should.
Groundwater, surface water. Water supply, like water application.
So I also those that's still 20 seconds, so I can go and make.
The relation cultures of my father.
She had some, I was recent company, and then lawyers were doing class action lawsuits. Communities. So they
So I
were
made it
suing.
September 22nd.
It was like a state of Florida or.
Interesting.
There was some, they call it.
Oh, you did.
Expert, yes, expert.
Oh, so are you doing it for dynamics?
I work on it, I work on PhD.
Letters.
So I've been for principal investigator.
Right.
So that involves. Yeah, nothing like engineering. Maybe not so much for.
Really?
They have they have a license.
So.
Yeah, I would take the exam. I feel like I'm safe.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, let's get started. So there's handouts circulating around. Also use the handouts from last time, so we still have those. Want to continue on with the improving maps of hydraulic head and maps in the process. So here's some things that you should learn. We'll work on the maps, and then we'll also take a look at how to interpret hydraulic head cross section. So I wanted to point out that there are some supplemental materials on Canvas. There are pages in Canvas where there's some links to videos and other help for contouring the water table and practice contouring. So check that out if you're interested. So what we're up to is trying to understand contours of a water table in map view like this. And we saw this last time where contours crossing a great gaining stream indicate the flow towards the stream is gaining, and then features like this, this kind of tipped dome is an indication of recharge because we have flow diverging away from this zone. So in order for that to happen, you must have flow coming in from above. Then we saw this one place where there's indication of flow away from a river. So that's a losing reach on that river. And then, yeah, there's recharge. And this place down here at the bottom, down in the south where the hydraulic head contours are straight and parallel. And this is the kind of thing we get from a 3-point problem where there's really no evidence of recharge. And this is a very arid area. So I want to do this example. This was a handout last time, so hopefully you have it. And before we get started, let's just review a couple of things. We had the general rules of contouring that we took a look at last time. You should have a handout about those general rules. But there are also rules for contouring the water table. So one of the rules is that if you have a gaining stream, the contour will come and be upstream. Okay, so contour will look like that as if a hydraulic head contour as it crosses a gaining stream. When we do these exercises, we'll have measurements at points. Okay, so, and the hydraulic head might be 9 here and 10 here, so well, maybe 10.5 and 9.5. So here's the 10 contour, and then we've got the 10 contour coming through here. We don't really have points that indicate that it does this. Okay, but if in most places the stream will be gaining. So if there's not really evidence that it's not gaining, we would infer that it's gaining and we would draw it crossing like that. Okay, even though there might not be, maybe you have some points right here that would require that it curves up like that, but a lot of times you won't. In the homework problem, for example, there'll be places where there are streams and there's not really control to show that it being upstream, but you would infer that that's the case. If the stream is losing, then it's going to feed downstream. And there are places where that occurs out west. For homework, there is going to be a place where it does lose. So there'll be some places, but usually they're fairly localized. The other thing is that if you have a lake, so the lake, we're going to assume that it's at the same hydraulic head. So that lake, the outline of the lake will behave like a contour. And we saw that one of the main rules, or one of the rules of contouring in general, is that the contours won't cross. And well, they won't cross when you're contouring. For sure, they're not going to cross when you contour the water table. If you have contours crossing, it means that the surface that you're contouring goes back on itself. So for a topographic contour, if you have like an overhang, then those contours would cross, but we're not really ever going to have that in a water table. So the contours, we won't have contours crossing. So if this is a lake, then this would be a contour at, whatever the stage of the lake is. So as we draw in the 7 contour, it has to go around the lake. We don't want to have it have a sharp kink in it. We would draw it and go around like that, and the 8 contour would also go like that. Okay, so lakes will function as a contour. This will also be something, there's a homework problem from the book, so don't draw the contours crossing the lake for that homework problem in the book. Well, also I'll give you some handouts where that's the case. Also, when you have a stream, for the most part, streams are going to go, well, streams are going to go from high head to low head, right? Like any kind of flow. So if we have a stream that is flowing in this direction, this is high head, this is low head, then the contours are going to cross like this. And this stream may go around and have a circuitous path, and when you go to draw in the contours, it may be tempting in places to have the contour across the stream again. Okay, there's a place in the homework where it looks like this could happen, but what that means is that we're going from high head to low, low, and then we're going lower hydraulic head in here. And if this is 10, 9, and 8, then this would be 7.5 in here along this reach. And then it comes back up to 8. Okay, so if you have a contour across a stream twice, it means the head's going down and then coming back up and then going back down. Okay, well, maybe, but it would be kind of peculiar. Okay, so see if there's an explanation, see if there's a way to draw the contours where you don't do that. You don't have the contour across the stream twice. In other problems, there's a way that works out nicely where the contours only cross the stream once. But if you're not looking for that, you could draw it in where it crosses twice. But if you think about it conceptually, you know, it just doesn't make sense that contours would do that. So you want to avoid that. And then where we have contours that form depressions, 8, 9, and circular or whatever, then the flow is coming towards this, and this is some kind of a sink for the groundwater, so flow is converging on that, and it's being removed somehow. And similarly, if we have a mound, then that's some kind of a source, either a recharge zone or maybe an injection well, this kind of thing, closed contours. This would your first guess would be that this is a well, or perhaps a series of wells. Okay, so those are some rules that are particular to contouring the water table that we also want to make use of. Okay. So this is the strategy for drawing in the contours. And we went over this last time. So I'm just going to assume that you're good with that. And what I'd like to do then is to go and work out the contours for that handout. Did everybody have the handout before from last time? This looks like that. So go ahead and do this, draw in the head contours, flow lines, identify some recharged areas, discharge. Where is there a stream? Where is there a well? And then the capture zones for the well. The capture zone is the region where recharge into the aquifer would go to the well. I have a few extras. Handouts.
Is this a 25 or a negative 25 right here?
Yeah, I don't know, it looks like a negative. Yes. Handout? Unfortunately, just gave me one. Do you have your? Usually, you have the. Yeah, if you have it online, yeah. Okay. Yeah. this. So.
So yeah, I started selling just to get it very much. Those are 35, 50. Just sell the numbers. Yeah. Okay. Give us a name. You can. Space. So you could go to 20, wherever you can. But. Well, I would go to 20 at first, split them. Got this, this, first, so just 0. There's 0, 1. I would go. Do the rest of it. 20. Yeah, so. I usually start. Highest number. But it's the bottom. So. Highest number. Already. That's. Or. This is fine, but I usually start with. The highest one. But this is fine, so yeah. So. What's this? 5. So. You're for interval, it's all in that. So
Yeah, so I think it started with 20s.
Yeah.
And then
Which is math.
go back and added the odds.
I'm gonna do 20 feet. I think I do smaller increment, like 20 feet, do 20.
Yeah, it's up in there. So 100 is max. Yeah, I mean, or.
We'll range you though.
That's the like outline. So just, and learn how to pick a 0, so.
Yeah.
So then I want to have the supplemental. I should go to 8.
Oh.
Go to
So, but you go outside, you want to what kind of work? I mean, it's good, be really detailed, but it'll be busy. What I would do is go with a bigger spacing at first, and then you can almost divide them up. But if you still put a bunch of them, then you really detailed real close. Yeah. So I would just, see how you have it, like, that's like a special. When you do it, so I think that.
I missed Friday, so it's, oh. I didn't know like that.
Yeah, so. Pick the.
So like, that's quite really good. That makes sense.
It's like, it's like 40 you
The divided up
and carry that you. But it also has an.
divided up.
Definitely one of the lower.
Five.
It's like there's a, so you says, there's like another 40.
And then.
Look like that. There's a dark, low, high, 30.
More than.
Six of
Yeah.
which seems to follow like the rules of contour. But
Next one's one to curve.
So, right.
Then colors have.
well, it's legal for them. It's like,
Or,
so this is really they're going to
but can you have a, like, you have a formula? Yeah, those are my two.
those are Main Street, Red Phoenix.
Oh, I know.
Literally,
Yeah. Yeah, we're like-
Yeah, I think we're. This.
Throw the whole.
Yeah. So it's on here as well. Yeah. So this is a 40 or is it 60? So it's going to scale. Yeah, so this one's definitely so it's. So this is the flow here with the problem. Yes.
That threw me out too, this thing.
Yeah.
It's like. which one?
Okay. So. The rules here for the procedure.
Yeah.
Find the max and the min, divided into 5, so. What's your contour interval?
Yeah, I think it's a.
There's the max.
I had my, I had my 15.
Target minus.
Yeah.
That's what 50 to use.
Then you gotta divide that into 5, 8 intervals. If something that's nice, even. So. That's not. Don't.
Set I should never go over 15 plus of all ones.
Yeah. Yeah, but if
Then
that goes, then you don't know what you're saying. You know, you got to sit.
I should have my.
No, mine doesn't. I did take.
60, 70.
I got a few sales.
No.
That's one, okay, that makes
So 80 contour, 80 contour would come between these
In the 90s, so
would be right there. And it would be between these points, but it would be close to the leader. Then it would be between these points, like right there. And then it would be between these points here, so it would form a closed contour like that.
yeah, it's.
Yeah, it just kind of difficult.
It could.
That,
Go down here
and
with
then 60 would do the same thing.
Around.
60,
But then 40 is
60 is there.
because then
There's 80, there's 60, there's 55, there's 80, there's 60, there's 40. But then you get the 60s. The software also closed.
I mean, I've used civil 3D and done contours,
The
but
ladder is really the.
done something where you're putting in. Like I've never done water surface. I've only ever done like ground surface.
I said, yeah, you would,
I've never done water. So this is,
yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, that is their here.
well, just whatever. You make sure this.
Just use your.
Have you done this guy?
Oh, This will get up there.
I like this.
Yeah.
Kind of a
Quick.
quick.
Yeah, we got survey provided, so
they just, it's.
we had.
Yeah, I'm gonna say shape. Very clear.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I did that. In geometrics.
Oh, really?
I don't like geometrics. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
This is almost like sitting.
Well.
Yeah.
But then, it was like that time fingers. It was in a circle, because it's a long.
Yeah.
But, oh, negative. But, label first. Here's the problem. I guess, yeah, this is 12. So. And. 10 has to go inside of this.
Oh, yeah.
And then the negative 10 is staying inside.
Yeah.
Start, I guess, just doing 0. We talk about that pretty easily, and then do the 10 things after. Yeah, I split it, I put it a little closer to that. Okay. So this is 30. So. Yeah, we're pretty close.
Yeah, oh, he's got. Yeah, there's
So.
Yeah, I think it's hard.
The handout
That's the stuff argument, because without a shot, you know, there's gonna be.
I mean, it's online. I would start.
This is 10, then you need, it's gonna go up, it's not going to shoot 0, so then.
Yeah.
There's 100 and there's 0, you've got 0. So I would go with like contour variable of 1. And then I would start with the max. Do contours. So. If it's every 20, then you have a contour of 100, 80, 60, 40. Okay, there's only one, so there's no contour. There's just has one. 80 is gonna be right here, between these two. And there's 35, so that would be like 40.
You're just better.
And there's 60.
Wait, but, okay.
80. And there's 60. Okay, you see that? It's linear. And that feeds up.
But you don't know if there's a 30. Wait. No, no.
That's what it is, I think. And that would be
You do know that there's a 30.
So it's gonna come out.
I just.
It's gonna go somehow get around here, over here. See that?
Yeah.
So that kind of gets you started.
Okay.
You're right, I don't have the outside.
Like we're studying.
Yeah, can't go something for public.
Yeah, and there we go.
Okay.
So where's the well last? Can't do anything.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is that.
Okay, so you also would have minus 10, right? Because they're minus 10.
That kind of-
Yeah, minus 10.
I think that's all.
So, yeah, minus 10 will be inside.
And then the wells.
It's like we know that
Yeah.
the 30 between.
What's that?
We know that the 30 between here. You don't know.
And then recharge.
They have 30
Turns out.
We don't know.
Yeah.
that we've done the 30 times. We don't know.
Last night,
that we've done the 30
yeah.
times. So I think any of this.
That's the high.
Yeah.
So you have flow, converging and all
Oh, well,
that.
it's
I would draw this 60 as.
So you're saying
wrapping
that
around.
this should be higher.
Close.
They don't think I can add anything.
Which is
Okay.
good.
60, 78, yeah. Yeah. Then the stream.
So like I just,
Where's the stream? There's stream. Stream.
Yeah, there's a little screen.
This.
Where it goes.
Yeah, these are stream. So that's all the stream. Also, look at this. So.
Yeah, I was already, I'm not, I'm.
Here's zero. This is zero. So there's gotta be like.
Okay.
that's what I think. It's nothing
Yeah. Okay, that was good. Why don't you try, get one in. Nothing like this. Well, it also is.
Yep.
But.
I just, the older I think that's, point.
What if it's the line before? That would just be.
Yeah.
And you just did it like.
Yeah, I did. A lot of it. Yeah. Cause I heard.
That was good.
Yeah, and then I saw. Do whatever you really try. So I think it's up.
Oh.
I have to deal with.
That's a good one.
This is zero, that's zero, so it's coming up.
Gonna do.
Yeah, that's just gonna hit it.
One of them will be closed, so and one of them is gonna be. One of them. No, the other one.
Yeah, I guess I can figure out.
It's this entire mouth.
There's the spit.
So I also.
Pick out one of the red or.
Yeah.
We don't want to climb.
Low engineering, perpendicular.
Yeah. That or like there was Ratatouille. That was cute.
Yeah.
Chef.
Yep.
I guess after the well, anywhere the water.
Would
Anywhere the,
But that's interesting.
like where the zero comes out.
Oh, but it also.
You should. Sorry. What's the talk? So they have to go on, well.
Oh.
I already know
I'll
what
show you about it.
That's genuinely, it's.
I think. She said, when it goes down to a lower point, because groundwater tables over there.
Yeah.
Cause you're.
Good. Doesn't that have like that kind of thing?
Basically says it like. Typically, you know, that's how like the water down like in the lake, except it's the well, it actually is. Like you're losing water at that point, just instead of it going down, it's able to go up, so you go, like, it's the water.
It would just go there.
Goes.
Oh, it's close.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Trying to figure out.
So. This is negative from this is one.
That's
So there's gonna be
this
zero
one?
here for Dominic,
Dominic,
like,
Elliot.
come around
I'm with
and our lows. And there's gonna be a.
Similar.
It's gonna be kind of tricky.
Let's charge them, like you were the analogy.
Oh, it's used like the shot. I'm probably like, and yeah.
So that's the.
But it is closed on the recharge of the groundwater.
It was.
I would leave it as very much impression.
Alrighty.
Oh, I just get one that's like, oh, geez.
So this, you guys, this would have this sauce this well.
Yeah. I just felt like you have a little more.
No, it's easier to think about it, it's higher resolution like this, if I was doing 25 minutes. basically what we're making on
I learned the argument, it's like, especially like, this 10-foot contour, because you want that one that says so many different.
Yeah.
Like,
So let's go ahead and do this, maybe you can help me out. So. Let me move this thing down on the page a little bit. Okay, so the max is 100. The min, at least as first blush, is 0. I haven't noticed this yet. So, 100 divided into 5 to 8. So I'm just going to go with 20 as a contour interval initially. And I'm going to start with the max elevation. So the max is 100, and there's only one point here. So I can't really draw a contour. I mean, I could, but I don't really know like where else it would go. So I'm just going to start with 80 and interpolate between those 2 points. So 80 is there. And between these points, it'll be over here. I can just draw in, say, 40, 60, 80. And then here, there's 60 and 80. And here, there's 60 and 80. So then I can draw in 80 to look like that. And I'm going to label it here, so I can keep track of it. Now I draw in 60. Here's a point that's 60. So I'll draw in like that and label it. Okay, so I have those as closed contours. 40 going to be here, and 55 it'll come through there. It'll come through here. It'll be here, and 60 it'll be here. Okay, so it looks like it can, no, it won't do that. That's 50. It'll be right there. Right? So it looks like 40 is going to be, let's call this the edge. So 40 is going to go like that. Seem okay? Okay. All right, so let's do 20. There's 20. It's going to come through here and through here. So there's 20, there's 20, there it is. It's going to be through here, and it's going to be here. So it looks like 20 is going to look like that. Okay, and then 0, this is 0. That's the edge of the lake. So those are the contours with the 20 spacing. And then I noticed this is minus 25, so I need a minus 20 contour, or well, so I would have a minus 20 like that. But then, hey, I need a 0, because I can't go from 20 to minus 20. So I would have 0 like that. So this is going 40, 20, 0, minus 20, minus 25. And then going this way, minus 25, up to minus 20, up to 0, up to 6, and then back down to 0. Okay, so that's what's going on here. There's a little bit of a ridge here, but we don't really hit it with any of the contours. Okay, see how that works? All right, so we could go and interpolate. What I usually like to do is hit it first with kind of on the coarse side, but it's fine enough to see what the pattern is. And then we could go in and fill in some details. Let's go ahead and try that. So 10 is going to be right like this. Going to come up like that, and it'll be inside of all of these. And maybe, if we said that this is going to 0 and then up to 5 or 6 and back down to 0, then that would say that 10 is wrapping around like that. Okay, so that looks like what 10 could do. And then 30, I'll put dash. Kind of going in here like that. This would be dashed. And 45. So 40. Sorry, that should be 50. That should be 50, so it's going to go through there. That's 30. Yeah. Then. Okay, so those are the interpolated values every 10. Okay, so those are the head contours. Who the flow lines in a second. Recharge. So this is a mound here. So this would be the recharge zone here. Discharge. Well, the water's discharging to there's a well here. The discharging to the well. D there. Is discharging to the lake. Probably. And then there's a stream. So if there's a stream right here, that would be a gaining stream. So that seems what we would have. Okay. So what we need to do now is draw in the flow lines. So here's the way we'll do it. Each location gets one flow line. So I'm gonna start with the location here, and I'm gonna say, okay, there's recharge that goes into the aquifer there, and then flow has got to be perpendicular to the head contours. So what I'm doing is drawing this line in, and when I cross the line, when I cross the contour, it's perpendicular, and I'm looking ahead, and I'm saying, okay, the contour is kind of wiggling around here. I'm gonna have to curve my flow path so it crosses the head contour in a perpendicular fashion. So it looks like that. And then I can start a point right here, and that's going to look like that. And then a point here looks like that. It looks like that point's going to the stream, that point's going to the well, and the point that starts right here, say, it's going to go that. Maybe that's well. That looks like it's going to curve a little bit. That one's going to the stream too. Maybe this point here is going to go, that gets to the lake. And a point right here, it's going to look like that one ends up getting captured by the well, but one out here is going to go and go around like that. Okay, and then this point here would go like that, and here would go like that. This point here. Okay. So their flow paths. One starting point and then a flow path that is perpendicular to the head contour. So what we see from this is that we kind of see a pattern where everything in here, all the recharge in here is going to go to the well. Right? And it might actually go up a little bit further here. We probably, we said, well, this is 0 and then maybe it's 5 here. So there's going to be like a ridge right in here that it's not really showing up as the contours. And that ridge will be a divide. So local divide. So let me just redraw this a little bit. Okay, so recharge in this zone ends up going to the well. So that's the capture zone of the well. Recharge in here goes to the stream. Right in here gets by the well and the stream gets to the lake. Over here, that's going around, going to the lake. Down here, it's going down someplace to another stream. Okay, see how that works? So it's pretty cool, these are wells. So with some wells across this area, we can go and infer what the hydraulic head contours are like. And then we can also infer what the flow is like. We can infer where the recharge is, where the well is, where the stream is, what the flow paths are, what the capture zone for the well is. We can get a lot from just a few measurements of hydraulic head. Okay, so that's pretty good. All righty. So that's good. That's a map. But what we're also interested in is what happens when we look at the cross sections. So here's a cross section, and these are hydraulic heads. And we can see we have a flow system that looks like that. It goes up to the stream. So this is the hydraulic head distribution in cross section for the typical kind of flow system that I've been drawing in cross section. It's a gaining stream. And we put in a piezometer right here, and the screen hits the 6 contours, so the water level in the stream or in the piezometer is right there. Here's another thing that can happen in cross section. This is the losing stream, and here this is the highest head, and the head is decreasing. The water table looks like that. Here, this is the hydraulic head between 2 and 3. So we have a hydraulic head right there of 2.5. The well or the stream is at 5. So this well is at a lower head than the stream. And here's an even more complex cross section where, well, I don't know, what would cause this kind of a cross section? Or these are hydraulic head contours in cross section. High head, low head, high head. Is there a well?
Pumping well?
This would be a well. This is the water table depressed by a well, and this is the low point for this whole area as a result of the pumping well. So the head contours in cross section can be fairly complex. To understand how this works, we want to start with pairs of wells. These are streams that have hydraulic heads like I show here. So this is on your handout. So what I want you to do is determine the vertical hydraulic head gradient just by inspection from these 3 cases. And I want you to do that at home, and we'll talk about it on Wednesday. So if you maybe have a question about contouring, check out those videos. I'm happy to answer the questions. I will almost certainly ask you to do problems like that all day day, contouring up. You can get a lot of information from just for math like that. So that's gonna be an important skill to have.
Sure.
What happens?
We're supposed to have.
I couldn't tell. Maybe. The holiday got changed, which is kind of investing classroom. So yeah,
It's,
this.